The banana, a deceivingly humble fruit, can be found in every corner of the globe. What you might not know though is that this convenience came at a heavy cost. There's lots of bloody truths about bananas, but only one of them involves the British. In the wake of a sudden nationwide ban, the once ubiquitous banana was suddenly impossible to get. The British, deeply attached to their beloved fruit, were unwilling to accept its absence. Their yearning for bananas was so strong that they even started making a fake version of it. Okay, but wait a minute. Bloody truths? A nationwide ban? Fake bananas? How did it come to this? It all starts in the early 19th century, when bananas were introduced to the British public. They were brought back from the exploration of faraway lands in the Caribbean and Central America, where Britain had colonies and British companies started growing bananas. Of course, these exploits involved much more bloodshed than anyone could fathom back home. Bananas were an enticing and rare exotic fruit that grew in popularity throughout the 19th and into the 20th century. This was largely attributed to better transportation and preservation methods, which made importing bananas from overseas much easier. What also fueled the popularity immensely was the marketing of bananas as a healthy and convenient meal, as well as a good source of nutrition for children. And really, this is where things become interesting. Even before bananas became popular in the UK, targeting children had been a trusted strategy for boosting the popularity of various foods. However, as I dove deeper into the story of bananas, it began to seem like there was a certain irony to these ads. Before we go there though, let's look at some other reasons Britons became crazy for bananas. Even though other exotic fruits were popular in the UK before the banana, for example pineapples, which they actually grew in heated greenhouses, these fruits were meant for the wealthy, a status symbol. The banana, on the other hand, was the first fruit that was available to the widespread public, and the Brits totally ate it up. Just look at the song from the 1920s.
When can I have a banana again?
It's a parody song about what would happen if there was suddenly no more bananas available. This song was hugely popular in the UK and played in dance halls all over the country in the 1920s, a time when Industrial Revolution had just paved the way for mass production. And of course the distribution of goods, which included exotic foods like bananas. The people in the UK were experiencing unprecedented access to products that were previously unattainable. They seem a bit drunk on this newfound abundance, not really noticing that there was almost no information on where all of this new stuff was coming from. Meanwhile, in the banana plantations on the other side of the Atlantic, workers toiled under grueling conditions for minimal pay. Child labor was rampant on these plantations. Families driven by poverty had their children work long hours, often handling dangerous tasks like applying pesticides without protection and carrying heavy loads. While these kids were deprived of their education, the fruit companies marketed bananas as a wholesome snack for children. The tropical paradise that the banana represented in the UK was a stark contrast to the grim reality of its origins. While workers on the plantations were fighting for basic human rights, back in the UK, people were more focused on enjoying bananas, rather than questioning their origins. But their carefree enjoyment was about to be disrupted by impending global turmoil. World War II arrived, and it heavily disrupted banana logistics. Around that time, the UK imported around 3/4 of their fruits from other countries. To cut off the British food supply, the Germans prioritized attacking naval shipping lines with their submarines. This ultimately brings us to the 9th November of 1940. Lord Woolton, the Minister for Food, ordered a complete ban on the import of bananas. The tropical fruit had to be imported with refrigerated ships, which were needed for the war effort. This was devastating to Britons, who now resorted to composing songs mourning the loss of their beloved bananas.
Yes, we have no bananas. We have no
In Honduras, the banana ban had much more drastic consequences. The country was heavily dependent on banana exports. Banana producers, eager to maximize profits, had resorted to extensive monoculture farming. During the UK's banana ban, the demand for bananas had plummeted, which eventually led to the collapse of the local economy. Plantation workers were laid off or had their wages drastically cut. These workers, already living in poor conditions, now struggled with severe poverty and food insecurity. The United Fruit Company, nowadays known as Chiquita, was a major player in this banana trade. They were notorious for their ruthless practices, including the use of armed forces to suppress worker strikes and protests. When plantation workers went on strike, demanding better wages and working conditions, the United Fruit Company called in the military to suppress the strike violently. The government forces cracked down on the workers with arrests, beatings, and even killings. Meanwhile, the British government started employing home economists to educate the people on how to eat healthy while on food rations. They held demonstrations at grocery stores and factory canteens and came up with fake sausages, fake fish cakes, and well, fake bananas. While doing all this research, I started questioning my own banana habits. So the idea of eating a fake version of banana seemed kind of intriguing. Naturally, I had to give making them a try. Cooking always helps me to sort my thoughts, and while I was cooking parsnips and measuring sugar, I wondered why nobody seemed to know about these horrors of banana cultivation. How could I write songs mourning the loss of bananas when families on the plantations were mourning the loss of their children? It all seemed so entitled to me. But then I remembered the first time I stumbled upon the bloody history of bananas. It was shocking to me. And even with the combined knowledge of the known universe right in my jeans pocket, I had never heard anything about this gruesome history. In the 1920s, it must have been even easier to manipulate people into buying bananas. Nobody was able to fact-check the ads, and nobody had reason yet not to trust the marketing. It still seems insane to me how effective that marketing was. I mean, they even came up with this fake version of bananas because they missed eating this fruit so much. It shouldn't come as a real surprise that when the first shipment of bananas arrived in the UK after the war, they held a big parade. Even the mayor of Bristol was there to hold a speech.
First cargo of bananas that has arrived at this port since the war. We hope it's the prelude of many more to come.
After the war, they slowly started importing small amounts of bananas again. The first shipments were only meant for children as a wartime treat. The government underestimated the yearning for bananas of the adults though. Auberon Waugh, son of the famed British author Evelyn Waugh, describes in his memoir, Will This Do?, how his father confiscated the first post-war bananas obtained for each of the war children.
They were put on my father's plate. And before the anguished eyes of his children, he poured on cream, which was almost unprocurable, and sugar, which was heavily rationed, and ate all three.
In the end, the bloody truth of the UK's banana ban is that fake advertising has been a potent tool of manipulation for decades. It perpetually convinces us to keep buying stuff we genuinely don't need, all while skillfully hiding the true origins of that stuff. Should you never eat a banana again? Maybe. That's a decision only you can make. More information on how to source ethically produced bananas is available in the description. I mean, would it be an adequate replacement? I'm not sure, Probably not, I guess. But it's still nice. I mean, I would eat this just for the fun of it because it tastes good. Would I torture my children just so I could have a real banana after eating this? Probably not. I would probably give the banana to my children. But, some people might disagree.